Welcome everybody to another episode of CCG Castle Classics. In today's video we're looking at Gardevoir LV.X deck, and again we are looking forward to year 2010. So Gardevoir LV.X was a very interesting deck, probably one of the best decks in the format. Many people will say that it was the best deck in the format, many not. It had pretty powerful setup and also some good abilities. For example, you can use Gardevoir with the Psychic Lock. You can hit for 60 and lock your opponent Pokemons from using Pokemon powers with Expert Belt. The damage can be increased for extra 20 damage. Also some other cards like Azelf LV.X help the deck to ignore the weakness, so you wouldn't have weakness as long as you would have Azelf LV.X in play. For example, also you could power up your Gardevoir up to Gardevoir LV.X, so you could also have a little bit better HP as well as more broken abilities. Plus you could also use cards like a Spiritomb in the early stage of the game to prevent your opponent as well as yourself, as long as the Spiritomb stays in the active position, from playing trainer cards. And also Dusknoir was here for the setup and the help, as well as the Claydol, but deck also used Machamp as well as the backup attacking Pokemon. So in terms of performance, as I said, many would argue that this was the best deck back then in the format. So today we're gonna definitely go through the cards and see what's inside of this deck. If you already didn't, please consider subscribing to the channel for more feature videos, as well as more deck ideas, more booster box openings. And if you're looking forward maybe to purchase some of these cards, you should definitely check CCG Castle. Link will be provided in my video description, so make sure to check that as well. All right, so the first card that we are going to start in this deck will be a Gardevoir LV.X. It is a 130 HP Pokemon with teleportation. Pokepower, it says that once during your turn you might choose one of active Pokemons or one of your benched Pokemons and switch it with Gardevoir, and this power cannot be used if Gardevoir is affected by a special condition. On the other hand, you can use Bring Down, and for only 2 Psychic Energies you can choose one Pokemon, yours or your opponent, with the fewest remaining HP, excluding Gardevoir obviously, and then that Pokemon would be knocked out. So really powerful attack. Again, weakness ×2 on the Psychics and 2 retreat cost. So I'm starting with 1 copy of Gardevoir LV.X. So this deck plays only 1 copy of Gardevoir LV.X. It took me quite a lot until I managed to get 3 copies of Gardevoir, level 55 with Telepass, Pokepower, which says that once during your turn you might search a deck, search your opponent's discard pile for a supporter card and use the effect of that card as the effect of this power. The supporter card remains in your opponent's discard pile, and you can't use more than 1 Telepass Pokepowers per turn. And of course, you cannot use this Pokepower as long as the Gardevoir is affected by any special condition. So again, you can use, you can search your opponent discard pile and pretty much play a supporter card you find there. Psychic Lock, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is very broken attack, but it also costs a lot. I mean, you need to pay 1 Psychic Energy and the 2 Colorless Energies in order to use it. You can hit for 60, and during your opponent next turn, your opponent cannot use any Pokepowers, which is very powerful, no question about that. So deck plays also 3 copies of the Gardevoir with the Telepass. Moving on to some other cards, we have 1 copy of Fighting Gallade. So just in case if you are not familiar with it, it have 2 attacks and 130 HP. So the first attack is a Sonic Blade for 1 Fighting Energy and 1 Colorless Energy. You can put damage counters on defending Pokemon until its remaining HP is 50 away from being knocked out. If you do, your opponent switches defending Pokemon with one of his or her banched Pokemons. So you can also use Psychic Attack, which costs 1 Colorless Energy more, but in addition to fighting you need to pay Psychic instead. You can hit for 60 and you might choose as many of your face down price cards as you like and put them face up. If you do, this attack does 60 damage plus 20 more damage for each price card you choose. Those cards remains face up for the rest of the game. So theoretically speaking, if we have 6 price cards, we can pick all 6 of them and we can strike for 180. Obviously, there's no reason to pick all of them because you can just pick, let's say, 4 of them and you can hit for 140, which should be more than enough to knock out against pretty much almost every level X back then. So 1 copy of Gallade. Obviously, deck plays 2 copies of Curlius and also 4 copies of Future Sight Routes. This Routes is a very good because you can look at the top 5 cards of either player's deck and put them back on the that player's deck in any order. So if our opponent bricked, if they don't have anything, we can definitely use Routes, we can use Future Sight for free, and we can take a look at the top 5 cards of our opponent deck and we can control the outcome of the top deck card that he or she would draw and pick. Obviously, every deck back then played at least 1 copy of a Spiritomb. Obviously, this deck plays 3 copies of them. So Spiritomb is a very, very powerful card, 60 HP, no weakness, resistance -20 to colorless Pokemons, 1 retreat cost. We are definitely going to focus on that Pokebuddy power, which says that as long as the Spiritomb is your active Pokemon, each player can play any trainer cards from their hand. And on the other hand, you can use Darkness Gray's attack for free. You can search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it on that Pokemon. This obviously counts as evolving. So yeah, that's the reason why that format was so interesting and why many players like that format. Personally, I also like it, and I think it is a very competitive format and very skill format as well. So let me just take a look at the camera. Okay, so cards are definitely in the range. Then we have 1 copy of Dusknoir, 1/1 line of a Dusknoir. Why Dusknoir is so good? Well, mainly because that Pokepower Dark Palm. Once during your turn, if your opponent has 4 or more benched Pokemons, you might choose one of them and shuffle that Pokemon and all cards attached to it into his or her deck. And that's the reason why Dusknoir is so good and why many decks played Dusknoir. Then we have 1 copy of a Claydol with the Cosmic Power. Back then, almost every deck had at least 1 copy of Claydol. Some decks played 2, some decks played 3. Pretty much depend on the consistency and setup, you know. Cosmic Power, I mean, you can use, once in your turn, you might choose up to 2 cards from your hand and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you do, draw cards until you have 6 in your hand, and this power cannot be obviously used if Claydol is affected by a special condition. This deck also plays 1 copy of a Machamp with Takeout. This is a Machamp from Stormfront. It is 130 HP, and for only 1 fighting energy, it hits for 40. But what's so special about this attack? If the family Pokemon isn't evolved Pokemon, that Pokemon is knocked out instead of damaged by this attack, which translates basically that we can knock out anything that isn't evolution Pokemon, which is just insane. Imagine Wailord with Wailord. Okay, Wailord was evolution Pokemon. But imagine any basic Pokemon, let's say 100 HP. You can just easily ignore its HP, and we can just easily knock it out. Then we have obviously 1 copy of Anom-G with that guard ability, and we also have 1 copy of Uxie for the setup. When you play Uxie from your hand on the bench, draw cards till you have 7. Obviously 1 copy of Azelf for that Time Walk ability, and we also have 1 copy of Azelf level X as well. So as long as the Azelf level X stays in play, obviously first we need to have Azelf, and then we can evolve or level up. Just, yeah, it's not evolving, it's level upping. We can level up Azelf into Azelf level X, and then we can ignore Psychic weakness on our Psychic Pokemons. But also the balance attack is not that bad. We can choose one of our opponent's Pokemon and put 1 damage counter on that Pokemon for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemons. So in my opinion, that attack is also strong. Then deck plays 1 copy of Luxury Ball. Just in case if you're not familiar with the effect of the Luxury Ball, you can search your deck for a Pokemon excluding Pokemon level X, show it to your opponent, and put it in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. If any Luxury Ball is in your discard pile, you can't play this card. So you can have 4 Luxury Ball cards in your deck, and you can only play 1. So yeah, you can't play more than 1. Then we have 1 copy of Warp Point, as well as 1 copy of Night Maintenance. Speaking about stadium cards, we have 2 copies of Moonlight Stadium. So Moonlight Stadium is a very good stadium card because it says that the retreat cost of each Psychic and Darkness Pokemons in play will not have any retreat cost. So I was talking about Expert Belt at the beginning of the video, and the reason why this deck is so good because it can hit for 60 plus 20 if you have Expert Belt attached, plus you can also lock down your opponent Poke powers. So the downside of the Expert Belt is that when Pokemon is knocked out by the Expert Belt, your opponent takes 1 extra prize card. Yeah, this deck plays also 4 copies, actually 3 copies of Red Candy. 3 copies of Red Candy, you can choose one of your basic Pokemons in play, and if you have Stage 1 or Stage 2 card that evolves from that Pokemon in your hand, put that Pokemon, the basic Pokemon. I'm quite confused, but yeah, you can even play that on the Stage 1. Then we have 1 copy of, speaking about supporter cards, we're now moving on to the supporter cards. We have 1 copy of Judge, shuffle your hand, and also your opponent shuffle his or her hand, and draw 4 cards. So this is the Hard Gold Soul Silver era Judge. I think that set is a Triumphed. We have 1 Lucian's Assignments. Move as many energy cards attached to one of your Pokemon as you like to another of your Pokemon. So you can see, for example, Shaman with Celebrations Wind was also a card with the ability that says when you play Shaman on your bench, you can move whatever energies and how many energies, whatever energies you haven't played from one to other Pokemon. But for example, this is a supporter card that says that you can move energies from one to other Pokemon. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why some decks didn't play Shaman. I think that the Shaman was the same set as a Judge. Maybe because due to the bench space, maybe vulnerability of the HP or something like that. But yeah, the supporter card is also very good. Then we have 2 copies of Looker's Investigation. Very good card as well. Look at your opponent hand and choose you or your opponent. That player shuffle his or her hand and draws up to 5 cards. And it's also a draw card. We have also 4 copies of BB Search. Yeah, this deck plays 4 of them. I mean, I think that almost every deck played 4 BB Searches. Choose a card from your hand, put it on the top of your deck, search your deck for a Pokemon, show it to your opponent, and put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. And that's pretty much it. That's like Pokemon communication, but a little bit better, I should say, because you can trade whatever card you want for a Pokemon and put it in your hand. And the only downside is that it's a supporter card. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, we have 4 copies of Rosanna's Research, and that's the last supporter card that we are going to find in this deck list. Just in case if you're not familiar with the Rosanna's Research, search your deck for up to 2 in any combination of basic energy and basic Pokemon, show them to your opponent and put them in your hand. So you can basically search a deck for basic energy and a basic Pokemon, and that's very good because let's say that you need, for example, routes or maybe matchup. You can grab matchup plus fighting energy, attach fighting energy to matchup. Next turn you can pretty much play BB Search. If you have Rare Candy, you already have Matchup ready to go, and you can start knocking out your opponent basic Pokemon and take some prize cards. Speaking about energy cards, this deck plays 1 copy of Fighting Energy, and we have 5 copies of Psychic Energies. Zoop, zoop, zoop. There we go. Also, we have 3 copies of Call Energies. I mentioned already how broken Call Energy was back then. I mean, that's just insane. As long as the Call Energy is attached to your Pokemon, it provides a Colorless Energy. But the good thing about Call Energy is that if it's attached to active Pokemon, you might switch your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemons and put them on your bench. So this is the reason why Call Energy was so good, and also the reason why it's so hard to find, because every player that plays format 2009, maybe 2010, they definitely wants to have Call Energies in their deck, and yeah, that's the reason why it's so hard to find them, and why they are very expensive. So you won't be able to find them less than $10 a piece. And also, deck plays 4 copies of double Colorless Energy. Why double Colorless Energy? Because we need somehow to pay that Gardevoir Psychic Lock attack, and what's the best card in the world for that? It's definitely a double Colorless Energy, and my personal opinion is that Heart Gold Soul Silver basic base set double Colorless Energy is the best looking double Colorless Energies of all time. I even prefer this double Colorless Energy over secret rare double Colorless Energies. And I even have 1 foil in this deck as well, and they looks gorgeous. And this is not league promo as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more videos. Hit a thumbs up as always. Have a nice day wherever you are. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this deck list. Did you play this deck list maybe back in 2010? What was your favorite deck back then? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next time. As always, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.